Okay, so we will start with introducing our guest, that is CA Tanvi Munot, and she has recently qualified her chartered accountancy exam in May 2022 attempt. So, heartiest congratulations for that. And further, she is currently pursuing her articleship with KPMG under tax domain, and yeah, she is a very bright student, as you all can see. First attempt, all levels passed.
Thank you so much, Taha. That was nice. That was really nice to hear, and it's nice. So, um, thank you so much. And it is just a feeling like I recently qualified. The results were just back some few days ago. So it's just still sinking in that I finally added the two letters CA in ahead of my name.
Yeah, okay. So can you just brief us about your journey in just a short span, like from articleship after clearing your CA, CPT or foundation, and thereafter?
So I cleared my CA intermediate exams. I had given both groups in May 2019, and then the results were out around August. Then I had chosen statutory audit initially, and I pursued my articleship in BDO India LLP statutory department for around 6 months, and then I took a transfer to KPMG, and then I started pursuing my articleship there. So initially, when I started statutory audit, I was still exploring the field, but I couldn't build much interest in that. So I decided to maybe shift my domain and try something new. And tax was always my interest. So I tried. So I went to KPMG, and I had filled the form and all that online procedure. I had done that. Then they called me for an interview, and the interview procedure happened, and then I joined. So to give a brief, in KPMG you have to do the online assessment test. So you can either go and apply on their own portal, or you can ask someone to refer, and then you receive an email and then go to the link and then fill the online assessment test. After that, the next step is the HR round. So they test you based on your communication skills, your interpersonal skills, and then you have a group discussions and how well you are about the current affairs that are going on. So then we had a HR round. There were around 10 to 15 people with me. So all of us, after our HR round, they told us that they'll shortlist and call us again for the tax, the interview with the tax technical person. So that happened around in Feb. So I had given my HR round around Jan, and then in Feb they called me for the technical round. So I did my technical round. They asked me questions related to tax. They check if you're updated with the latest developments that are happening in tax. Like recently in February the budget was out, so they asked me questions related to the budgets and the latest case laws that have been come out. So then, since I was aware and I had prepared for that, I was able to answer them, and they were happy with that. So then I got a call in next 4 to 5 days from the HR saying that I'm selected, and then she waited till I could complete my exit formalities in my earlier firm, and then in March 20, so I joined. So if you all remember, in March 20 there was a giant COVID virus that had come. So it had just interrupted all your lives. So there's a funny story. The first day we had gone to office, I had collected my laptop. I met all my teammates, and from the next day we had work from home, which almost lasted for 2 years. So my whole articleship has started from work from home. So I have used MS Teams, Zoom, and emails only to communicate with my team. I don't know what the experience was to actually go to office every day, and late workings and all that. That all used to happen in the comfort of my own home. So that was my experience. Then mostly I was introduced to all my teammates through virtual Zoom and Teams meetings only. And whatever fun activities we used to have, that also used to be online only. So that was how I got into KPMG. And initially it was, I was feeling lost that what will happen, it's completely virtual. Like, maybe they'll forget that I am also a part of the team or something like that. But that didn't happen. My team was very supportive, and they were like they told me like what direction I should start in and what all I have to do to start my articleship, and like what work will be given to me. So then I was assigned initially 2 3 clients, and they were related to compliance. So in direct tax department, that is corporate and international taxation department actually. So we have mostly three types of work. One is compliance related, like your TDS returns, income tax returns, then FLA, SFT, all these compliances, you can say they come in one part. Then the other part is litigation. So all the assessment that happens, that goes under litigation, 143, 148 and all that, all those notices that you receive and you respond to them. Then CIT appeals with the ITAT and all that, that happens in a, that is one thing that we do. And the third part is advisory. So whatever new laws, provisions, and matlab, all that comes, so we serve whatever advisory we give to our clients. So that is one part. So advisory is my favorite part, and most people enjoy advisory a lot because it challenges your mental capabilities, and it is like food for the brain. So that is very interesting. So that is how I have started my articleship. So going forward,
Okay.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, you can continue the.
Okay. So, the most important question which the students might be asking here, like, what is the stipend?
So I think the stipend is known in most for like it is generally available, but it is in the first year we get 15,000, second year we get 20,000, and third year we get 25,000.
Okay. So it is far higher than what we get in small size or mid size firms, right?
Yeah, it is higher. Like I have friends who will say that you're getting stipend of 5 months in 1 month. So it is the difference,
Okay.
but then it is about being valued also, that whatever articles do, it is matlab, we are paid, we should be paid according to what we deserve and whatever work we do, in my opinion. So I think 25,000 is
Okay.
a decent amount. So that is nice to be valued.
Okay, and regarding your profile, don't you think that is monotonous? Like we regarding the first two parts, the third part is of course attractive one, the advisory part,
Hmm.
but the first two part, don't you think it is monotonous? Like we do the same returns and all.
Yeah, you can say we do the same return, but there are different types of clients, there are different issues, and there are different things happening. There's a lot of different various adjustments, like it's financial reporting and so many adjustments related to it. So the compliance file, what are the allowances, disallowances, you have to do a lot of research on that. And after some point, you might say that it becomes monotonous. But that is how we build our work. We start with the compliance and we identify opportunities for advisory. So even if it is monotonous, there's always something new. And even after like 3 years, I feel there's a lot that I can still do in compliance also. And after some point, you get promoted, you go to different posts, so your job description, whatever your responsibilities are changed. So you're not going to for next 10 years just be doing returns. In the first year you're preparing returns, in the second year also you're preparing returns, I can say. In the third year you'll be reviewing returns prepared by your juniors. And then matlab, going forward you'll see that is the position correct. In the first year you'll be like, am I filling it all properly in the right uh, क्या बोलते हैं, right whatever space that they've given, is it going there? In the first year you'll think that, but when you go to third year, fourth year, you'll think that is this applicable to me or is it not applicable to me, or am I allowed to take this allowances, or these expenses are allowed disallowances and all that. So your description changes. So though it is monotonous, it is not monotonous. There is a lot of variation.
So why you left audit for taxation? Means is was there something some good reason, or you were just getting KPMG a bigger brand than video? So what was the main reason?
Uh, See, brands obviously BDO is also is also very well recognized as like KPMG is worldwide. And statutory, I was not getting direct taxation in BDO, so I had asked for that also, whether I could continue indirect taxation in BDO itself, but that opportunity was not available for whatever reasons. But then when I shifted to the main reason to shift to KPMG tax was the scope of opportunities that I would get in tax. And when you're in tax, you have to use your brain a lot. Like you have to be updated with the latest case laws, the amendments, and whatever is happening around the world. So that is why I shifted. The main reason was there is now international tax treaties, there is Indian tax laws, there are so many sections evolving. There is BEPS Action Plan 1, which is being immersed into the Indian tax laws, and it is happening on an international level. So that is why it was very interesting. And when you look about audit, so initially in audit you're doing vouching and verification, and after some point you're like, no, this is not fun. It's just that was monotonous for me, just vouching hundreds of bills. And though they were different bills, after some point you're just like, I'm looking at a bill, I'm seeing the date, I'm seeing the amount, I'm seeing whether TDS is done, and putting that into an Excel sheet. So there was no motive to go to office after some point. Or the learning curve also
Okay,
is very slow. So that is why maybe it bores you initially if you're someone like me, maybe.
okay. So can you list one of your, matlab, in the 3 years, one of your best experience, like you can say that this was the best one, like client ने सब कुछ झोल करके रखा होगा और आपने ढूंढा होगा ऐसा कुछ.
मैं ऐसा बता दूंगी तो नहीं हमारा क्लाइंट का केस खुल जाएगा.
Nice. So don't disclose the name of client. We can discuss the situation, like what was the situation and all.
No, there was like we don't do like jhol kind of situation. I'll not say that was the case, but there were like sometimes we take a legal position that we take. We read the act and we try to twist it and find the loopholes and maybe make it like turn it into our favor. So we try to do that. So we have arguments for that. We read a lot of case laws and then like suppose so last year in FY 1920, if you see, the due date was extended. Okay, so that is why the TD, the tax payment that whatever our clients had to do, so some of them do it when they actually file the return because they are not so, they don't know what is the exact tax liability until then, till the positions are finalized for various sections and all that. So there was a case law on education says. So there the SESA Goa group had claimed. So they had claimed into the High Court that we want because education cess is not a tax, it is a cess. So they had claimed the allowance for that. Usually we disallow when we do tax computation. So they had taken that position and that had just come out when the due date had extended. So for various clients, we also had claimed education cess. But if you see in the Finance Act that has come for 2022, so they have like written it retrospectively that education cess is also tax and it is disallowable. So that is a position that we took for many clients. And that was in, if you see for small entities, education cess is smaller. But for you, when you take big companies, education cess, even if it is 4% of tax, it goes into lakhs and crores. So you get that amount of allowance and you can see at the rate of 30% you get, suppose the education cess is 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs into 30 is 3 lakhs. So you have to pay 3 lakh lesser tax. So that is something you can think in lakhs, crores, or greater than that also. The benefit for that. And I'm not telling you more positions that we took because of course that we don't want like the hard work that we did that you just get it for free.
Okay, great. So That was about your profile. So what are your future dreams, like what you want to do in future? Do you want to continue in tax or anything else?
So right now I'm still exploring, but if I look at tax, I would always want to continue because tax is challenging. Though you're saying it gets monotonous, the advisory part that is there. So in a big four, you have clients who are usually companies. Huge companies are your clients. So that is why for compliance, they have their internal team, their accounting team or whatever. So most of their compliances are taken care by them. But when you look at advisory, they come to us, to a big four or to a chartered accountant firm to give them advice that whether they should take a position, and if they take a position and the department is filing a case against them, so what arguments they can make. So we are preparing this advisory for them whether this is applicable to them or not. Like suppose we have many international clients who are doing business in India, so we are checking whether are they liable to pay tax in India, is the equalization levy applicable to them. And so for that we analyze their facts, we do the full fact analysis, and we try to check whether they fit into the definitions that are given, and is tax applicable to them. Or in certain cases, if they want to start, then we even tell them that they should not do certain things so that the tax is not applicable to them. So that is also something we look into, and that is quite interesting. And there is international taxation. So international taxation, like slowly in the coming years, you can see that there will be a global tax on income, like globally tax. There are many companies, if you might have read news like Netflix doesn't even pay 1 rupee tax or $1 of tax. There are so many companies in America that don't even pay $1 tax, and you're like, मैं खुद tax भर रहा हूँ. How is Netflix not paying tax? They are earning so much more than me. So eventually there will be global taxation, there will be a minimum taxation, and all those rules will, when will come, and they will turn into treaties, or maybe they will come through income tax act or whatever. So at that point, the international tax and the local tax, when they merge into each other, there's going to be a lot of advisory, and a lot of actions have been matlab, are being formed. So it will never get boring. So I would like to continue in tax.
Okay. So I had just one question, that what is the difference between transfer pricing and taxation? Like we have two different fields. Like,
Yeah. So transfer pricing, if you read the laws, you can understand that transfer pricing came into existence because there was a lot of tax evasion. Like there is a global entity, a multinational company, which is not located in India. Okay, suppose it is located in some offshore countries, like suppose Cyprus and tax havens, which we call basically. So what they do is they try to shift their profits from India to the tax haven country, that is suppose Cyprus, and there the tax is 0%. So that is why what is happening is the tax that could have been applicable in India on the profits is being not taxed at all. So that is why we have transfer pricing. We have rules that suppose IT company is there, whatever cost they incur, uska 15% at least they have to matlab have the markup when they sell it to their offshore entity outside. So there are rules like this. And in transfer pricing, so there is we have transfer pricing reports and filing, and they basically help you how you should design your global business in order to not be like evade tax and at the same time get benefit of maximum provisions that is available. So that is transfer pricing. So there is a lot of documentation that goes because there are industry trends what are followed for setting the benchmarks, and there are different ways of calculating the profits, and that is about it. So in corporate tax, mostly advisory is both there. Advisory can be in transfer pricing also, and in corporate tax department also. There is litigation also. So there are some sections you can say that are assigned to transfer pricing related to this international pricing of contracts. So they deal with that.
okay. So regarding so in short, transfer pricing is just a sub branch of taxation, right?
Yes, transfer pricing is just a sub branch of taxation, you can say.
Okay. And as you described your role in corporate taxation, there is also
Hmm.
another role for IDT also.
Yes, there
So
is
have
also.
you ever, yeah, so can you brief us about it if you know something?
So I have not personally worked in the IDT department because in KPMG there are departments and specialization is given priority. So I have not worked with in the IDT department, but sometimes our clients' needs are like collaborative. So we work with the IDT department for certain matters. But I would not be an expert to say anything on that.
Okay. And like in audit, we have documentation as one of the key factors. So in
Hmm.
taxation, is it so or the case is different?
So in taxation also, of course, we don't do documentation as much as we do for audit, but taxation also we need to do documentation. One, because we always have our files and everything ready, because if any day assessment is picked up, we have to respond, we have to file a response to notices and all that. We need those documents. We have to submit proofs that why we claimed this allowances, what were the what were your liabilities, is everything that we've submitted authenticated and all that. So that is why we always have our files ready, and we have a system, and it depends on each team how much they want to document. So when I used to work with my manager, he was very particular that he wants everything in an order. So we used to have it properly documented, all the files and the data that we have received. But it is not just that this documentation is integral. You can't like not do it and have everything in order. You can't do without taxation, without that documentation, because in the coming year or in the coming quarter, you'll need to refer these documents. So you need them in a proper state. But of course, we don't have a proper documentation policy, but we do it as per our understanding and convenience.
Okay. And for the clients you worked in KPMG, were they only Indian clients or you got some foreign exposure as well?
Yeah, there were Indian clients and there were foreign clients also. So I actually got an opportunity to interact with the foreign nationals relating, and then you have to explain them that this is the law, this is applicable. You can't just be like this section is applicable and you have to pay so much tax. You have to explain that in India this section is there, you are eligible for it, and you will have to do it, or you can avoid it. You have to explain them the gravity of the situation also at certain times. So get to interact with them, and certain foreign clients are there who have to do compliance in India. So then we have to like interact with them and make them understand that if we have a due date, then we need their approval also to suppose file their returns and all that. So we have to interact with them, we have to make them understand that why we are doing it, and accordingly so we get to interact with foreign clients also. And since my team was very
Okay.
cooperative, they allowed me to be on the front end and initiate communications.
Okay. And what about the working hours you had in KPMG?
So like
Average working hours, like.
it's not a secret that you work for long hours when you work in a big four or in any CA firm. And so, but the average working hours go around 10 hours, like you work on a daily basis. And if you're doing advisory, then you don't know. But until you find your answer, you're working in when you're working on advisory assignments. And there are a lot of assignments that are on stringent deadlines. So you have to work for that. So like audit, you all have just one 30th September tak you have to close all your audits or whatever for consolidation. For tax, we have like every 4 or 5 days another due date is coming, or sometimes it's client specific also. Like you have to send the deliverable to the client. It's not that there is a due date, but you need to be fast and send the deliverable to that client in that much time only. So though it is not a statutory due date, it is a due date for you still.
Okay, so 10 hours of work. So how did you manage your studies with it in CA final then?
Okay, so in morning before, like I used to log on. So one benefit that I had was I was working from home. So my travel time was saved at a large extent, and then all the lectures were also happening online only. So I could see them at my own convenience. So that was a benefit. So morning, from I used to get up at 7 o'clock, until 7 to 10 o'clock. I used to do my lecture, have my breakfast, and then 10:30 I used to log in. So then I used to just get those morning 2 to 3 hours for studying. So then that I used to study. And then weekends, sometimes we had working weekends, sometimes we didn't have, and sometimes there was like a lot of work. So I used to work on Saturdays, Sunday I used to get off. So when you work for 6 days, it is a bit difficult to immediately like get into the studying zone. So sometimes you want to chill. So sometimes I used to just do 2 lectures on Sunday and then chill for the rest of the day. So that was it. But studies did take a back end and work was on the front end for my case. But then everyone has their own way of managing it, I'd say.
Okay. And how was your team? Like the in audit, as we know that the team shifts in top mid-size and big fours, the team gets on shifting. So
Hmm.
is it the same case with tax, or we have the same team for let's say 3 years?
See, there is a large team of 20 to 30 people, and that is your team. If you're going to office, you interact with them daily. So you know that these it is like in tax you don't go to client places often. You just go if there is any meeting to attend. So there is a team and you meet them every day. So your team is same for around however time you're working with them. But of course, for each assignment there are 2 to 3 people assigned. Okay, so like there will be a article, there would be a qualified CA, a manager, and the partner or director. Like 2 to 4 people are there in the hierarchy for each client. So I had clients with different people in the team. So there was like I'll have 2 to 3 clients with one manager, and 2 3 clients with another manager, and one more with some another manager. So the team was same, but there were like different combinations for each client. It was client specific team, and it used to remain like that for 1 or 2 years. And after like 2 to 3 years, we have shuffling of clients mostly, depending on the client's nature. So we shuffle the team. Mostly we prefer that the same people continue on the same client. So there is one team for like every client.
Okay. And like as you said that in tax we don't interact with client. So like
No, we
how
interact with
did
client.
you do? Yeah, like we don't go in client places, right?
Yeah, we call them every day. But we don't get like we don't actually go to the client place, but then we call them. We need data for filing the return. We need monthly data for their TDS return, the TDS that we have to make payment. So we do interact with them, and we have to like constantly keep updated with them because so in audit you all never go to the client and propose an assignment that this is an this is a case law. Suppose this is a case law which is giving some allowance, okay? And suppose you want and you see that you have a similar client who can also claim this allowance, he hasn't done. So we then prepare a proposal and we go and meet them and we say that if ye proposal hai, this would be a fee and this would result to so much tax savings for you. And we propose our assignment, we quote our fees, and these would be the people who would be working on them and all that, and we give them a presentation. So that is, so we win proposals for our client basically. So we have to build our clientele, and that is a really interesting part of tax. Like in audit, you never go to the client and say, this is the audit we'll do and this will be the benefit. So you can't do that in audit. Like it is ethically not allowed by ICI. So you can't do that. But in tax, you can like tell them that this is an allowance or this is we can help you with this. It's not always case laws. It's just like we'll do compliance for you or anything. So for that matter.
Okay.
So we get to interact with
Okay.
clients and we have to maintain a relationship with them because Like suppose we raise invoices on them, we have to follow up with them for like the payment and all that also. And you can't just say, "Hello, sir, हमारा payment कर दो." You have to like talk to them properly and convince them कि दे दो sir पैसे. So that is also there. Because even if you are a big four, your client is still a local client. So he will ask you for the maximum credit period that he can avail.
Right. So for this, don't we have some another team in Big Four, or it we only do all these things?
We only do these things because if another team member calls, we have a relationship with this client. So to maintain it, if someone else is for all these local clients, you have to maintain your relationship. So that is why if just another team member calls, they don't know what is the situation of the client, who you are dealing with, what type of person it is. So many a times we only call them.
Okay. Um, so I would now open the session for all so that you can ask your questions to her and she could answer them.
Hello.
May I ask a
May I
question?
ask a question?